All righty, guys. All Facts Media. My name is Andrew Robinson. I'm joined by my twin brother, Aaron Robinson. Today we have a special guest on the Coach's Corner. We have the head coach of Mount St. Mary's University, Dan Englestad. Thank you for joining us today, Coach.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. Excited to be here.
Thanks a lot. So, before we kind of get into the topic of the day, which is the coronavirus and everything, we want to kind of talk about you and your journey to coaching and obviously getting here at Mount St. Mary's. We know you were part of that 08 Mount St. Mary's championship team. You also were the head coach at Southern Vermont before Mount St. Mary's. Kind of just talk about your playing career, how you got into coaching, and then just kind of what brought you to Mount St. Mary's today.
Yeah, I was, thinking about and seeing you guys and thinking about high school career and going back to those days. And played at Walt Whitman High School, played against Springbrook, as you know, and I had 4 losses my senior year, 1 to Paint Branch and 3 to Springbrook. So, I can smile about it now, but it wasn't smiles when they were kicking my butt back in the day. But, I had a great experience playing, and then went and played Division III basketball at St. Mary's College. And during that time, I was able to help out and coach the Whitman Summer League team. And that's where I really fell in love with the coaching aspect of it, and played for some really good coaches at St. Mary's, and just tried to learn the game as much as possible during that time while I was still playing. And got done, not sure exactly what I was going to do with my life, and was doing clinics and doing training and doing camps at Whitman with the head coach there. And I got an email. I was actually over in Africa at the time. My dad worked State Department. Got an email from one of the assistants at the Mountain, asked if I'd be interested in a position there. And at the time, the funding wasn't quite as good as it is now. There was a third assistant spot, so it was, a chance to be an assistant, but it was a grad assistant pay. So for me, it was a home run, no brainer. My dad owned a place in Frederick, and I applied, and it took Coach Brown, Milan Brown, one of my mentors, about a couple months for him to finally pull the trigger and hire me. And that first year was an unbelievable experience for me. As you talked about, we went to the NCAA tournament, played Tyler Hansborough, Wayne Ellington, Ty Lawson, and I'm sitting there as a 22-year-old at half court, and Roy Williams comes over and says, "Coach, you guys did a heck of a job this year." And I look at Coach, I was like, "Yeah, you guys too. You got a pretty good team, Coach." I just didn't know. It was unbelievable. But I thought that's how it was every year. And understanding, now in it for over a decade, how special that experience and that journey was. And followed Coach Brown to Holy Cross for 3 years. And at some point, I was 6 years in, and I learned a lot from Coach. And I knew I wanted to call a timeout and screw it up. And Southern Vermont, a small Division III school in Bennington, Vermont, gave me an opportunity to be a head coach. And I knew I had to go to the best area in the world to get some players. So I basically came down to Montgomery County and PG and got a whole team from the Baltimore, Maryland, Virginia area, and ended up turning around a program there. And but I always had my eye on the mountain. It was a special place for me. And when the job opening came, I was blessed and fortunate enough to get an interview there. And now we're on year 3 and trying to build this thing up. And it's a place that's won big, and we're trying to take that next step with our program now, and taking small steps, not where we want to be yet, but we'll get there.
And you talked about it, briefly. Obviously, your guy was Maryland ties, a guy who grew up in the area, now coached in the area. Talk about just what it's like, being raised in Maryland and coaching in Maryland and being able to recruit, in an area that has been one of the, hotbeds for college basketball.
There's no question about it, and that's what I think makes the Mount such an attractive job. You have that talent right in your backyard, and we've been able to dip into it, and we're excited about the class we have coming in and guys on our current roster. Our top returner from last year, Damian Chunquise from Baltimore, had a really good season for us this year. But you have those type of guys, and you have a bunch of sleepers too. As an assistant, we would sift through it and be able to recruit. And you guys being from Montgomery County, you probably know the name Malcolm Miller. Malcolm was a guy that was, not a lot of people know about him. I saw him play one time. I was like, this kid's intriguing. And I actually was the one that coached and recruited him to get up to Holy Cross for Coach Brown. And Coach Brown was a great recruiter himself and got him up there. But, Malcolm's in the NBA now. He just won an NBA championship. And so you have that ability to find really talented players, but you got some diamonds in the rough too. And, we'll always recruit this area. And, because – they're going to get coached. They're going to be playing basketball all the time. And they eat, breathe, and sleep it. And that's one of the reasons why the Mount, I think, can be a powerhouse, is you can get the best players in the area.
Great. Obviously, switching gears a little bit. We're definitely in uncharted territory here with the coronavirus, and it's kind of took the whole world by storm, and I know it's definitely affected college basketball, specifically in the fact that we can't recruit right now, you can't have guys on campus for visits, you're not having your spring off-season programs. I mean, just kind of talk about the impact that the coronavirus has had on your program at Mount St. Mary's and kind of what the effects have been for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, everyone was just trying to figure it out. That's the hard part is all of a sudden, like we lose in our quarterfinal game, and I'm on a flight the next day. And I'm out to Iowa, fly to Houston, I fly to Louisiana, come back home, head out to the prep showcase out in Connecticut, and I get home, and my wife's like, "You're not going out anymore. Like, you're done." So when she talks, I listen, and then all of a sudden, everything just started shutting down. And at that point, it's either okay, we can hang out here and do nothing and complain about it, or figure out a way and find a way. And I got an amazing staff. So, we just got proactive. We started to find ways where we could bring people in and do Zoom calls like this. And one thing we did, I do have a really hungry and good staff that's out there working. They went on campus and got their phones and did a virtual tour of campus where they toured the whole campus, went in different buildings, went inside our arena, went into our practice facility, showed them what a classroom's going to look like, showed them. So now we have a 20-minute tour with these recruits, and we're showing them, what it's like on campus without actually being there. So we got a couple late commits that we're really excited about, a couple area guys, Mezzi Offram, who played at George Washington, and DeAndre Thomas, who's a transfer from Samford, who played in Richmond. So, we were able to, during this time, still get quality players and people. I think in large part to being able to, be a little bit creative. And now we're diving into the 21 class and doing the same thing and really targeting the guys that we're excited about here at the Mount. So it has changed. I'm itching. I can't wait to get back in the gym. A big part of the landscape now too is like we got to keep the guys on our roster. Like we got to make sure that we keeping them in line and with us. So, we're just communicating with them all the time. Now that we have our roster set for next year, we're going to be doing a Zoom call with everybody next week. And then we'll start doing some position stuff and watch film and just try to keep them engaged and keep them mentally with us and locked in. And it is hard. I miss them. And, as a coaches, we're used to being in the gym and getting guys better. And right now you're, just trying to be there for them and try to push them at least mentally during this time.
Now you mentioned it a little bit right now with the guys that you have on your roster. What are some things that you guys have been doing? Whether it's from an academic standpoint or whether it's from an athletic standpoint, training conditioning to make sure that they're still on their P's and Q's. Getting their academic schoolwork done, getting their workouts in, and making sure that they're still being active during this time.
Yeah, checking on them almost daily. Just it might be an excerpt or an article, checking on them, asking them how they're doing. The way that our staff is structured, they are contacting them weekly just to see where they're at academically. And we have someone that oversees all of academic support, Justine Miller, who does an amazing job, and she kind of lets us know if anyone's fallen off track or what the status is, and we get those reports every Monday. So we're staying on top of it, and but a lot of the conversation is just checking in to see how they're doing because it's a different world. They're not used to not having the structure of lifting, running, playing, being in the gym. Their whole mindsets had to change a little bit too with what they can do. And, I have a good feeling we're heading towards the right direction of getting back to, some normalcy and getting back in the gym. But right now we just got to be patient and telling them that patience the right thing to be right now during this time.
So, you actually touched on it briefly in one of your previous responses, which was basically like, talking to your players that you have on your roster now and making sure that they're intact and, going to be returning next year. Something that's kind of been in the news lately has been this whole transfer rule that's going to be voted on in June on whether or not kids can be immediately eligible with a first-time transfer. So I want to know your thoughts on that. Like, obviously, if this rule gets passed, it's going to have huge implications on college basketball. As far as, it's almost going to be like a free agency period. I know that this is definitely going to have ripple effects through, low major basketball, mid-major basketball, JUCO recruiting, high school recruiting. So, what are your thoughts on the rule, that's going to be voted on pretty soon?
You're going to have to adapt. That's the one thing. And at this, mid-major, low major level, like you get good by getting old. You get good by playing together. You get built by building camaraderie. You get good by having guys grow from within. I mean, that's the reality of the situation. So the landscape has changed drastically, since the first time I was here as an assistant. It never used to be this way. It used to be you had 4 in the senior class, 3, 4, 3, graduate, bring 4. Now it's you always have to be recruiting because you don't know. And, it's really hard, for us, we're trying to build it in a family dynamic and I just, my hope is that we just build it strong enough where the guys feel like this is a great program to be a part of and want to be part of it, but also in the back of your head knowing that this is the landscape right now and this is what it is. When I took over the job 2 years ago, we didn't have a junior or senior on the roster, not one. We had no upperclassmen. We had 2 points per game returning. And that was because a lot of the guys were transferring up already and leaving. For a lot of them, some of them it's equated to some success, but a lot of them, I don't know if they would, looking back at it, if they would make that decision now. And, for us, we're just going to try to, re-recruit them every day by how our programs run. And hopefully they love the workmanlike type atmosphere, the family commitment, what the Mount has to offer. And that's through the recruiting process too. So it will open up some things. Like you said, it has basically become free agency, and it makes it where you have a bad day and you want to change your scenery, you can do that in a whim, and that will change. And it's I'm all for having players have the freedom to do what they, as coaches, we have that freedom as well. But it does create an interesting time in college basketball. And, I know for our program, we want to get really good. And I know to do that, we got to get old and build it the right way. So we're going to keep trying to do that and fight for our culture and program every day.
Now, a little while ago, we had Chris Caputo, assistant from Miami, on here. He was saying one thing that this is going to – one kind of ideology that is going to affect in terms of coaching is that, instead of trying to build a program over 4 years, you're essentially trying to build a team each year, just because of the fact that you already know who's going to be coming back and the overturn is going to happen each year. What's your opinion on this? Are you one of those guys that's going to, I guess, have more of a one year to year focus, or are you still going to try to be a guy that wants to try to bring in freshmen and build them over 4 years and try to keep that group together as long as you can, ideally?
Yeah, ideally we build it that way. Ideally you bring them in, you develop them, you get them better. We believe in our development plan here. Like I got really good coaches that can get you better and work. But also the understanding that that's, kind of perfect world thinking. So you have to always be aware of what's out there. You always have to be recruiting. You always have to know that this can change on a whim. So you have to know who's out there. Like, you can't stop. I mean, the reality of it is now, like, you can't stop recruiting. You have to recruit because you never know what's going to happen. And, you have to have honest and conversations with your guys. But, in a perfect world, and like I told you, like, I'd much rather have it be 4-3, 4-3 and recruit and just keep developing that way. That's a sustainable model. This lends itself to ebbs and flows, and lack of continuity can be tough. So, but we're adapting with the landscape, like we talked about with the recruiting stuff too. So that's something that, it's evolving every day. And, we hope that our guys love being at the Mountain, love being coached by us, and they want to stay. And if that's the case, then that's when you can build it the way that, ultimately we want to do it. But we always have to have our eyes open, because, you always got to bring in talent, and that transfer portal's large, and there's a lot of good players. And the one thing that's really impacting is the value of high school players, all over especially, like, I feel bad for a lot of these seniors that were looking at spots, and now those scholarships, they're going fast. And I think, it's like musical chairs. Someone's going to get left behind. And I do feel like with this landscape right now, with the coronavirus and all how big the transfer market is that there are going to be some really good players that don't end up getting one of these scholarships. And, so I would imagine the D2s and D3s are going to get some really good players here. And there's going to be a lot of mistakes made too, because the evaluations won't be as strong. So, so it's just an interesting time in this profession and the landscape.
Following up on that, you did, this going back to the coronavirus. This time period, obviously, the spring recruiting period was interesting because, obviously, here at All Facts, we've done a lot of guys that have committed to colleges. A lot of other guys are going through the recruiting process right now that are transferring, and they can't take visits. So you're not really going to be able to get on campus and have the experience that you would normally have. And like you just mentioned, the reality is a lot of guys are going to be making mistakes with where they choose to go. And really on both sides, coaches might not be able to evaluate the players that they really want to take in this time period, because you can't get them on if you can't have them come in and work out. So, I mean, on both sides, from a recruiting standpoint, from the coaches aspect and players, there probably is going to be a lot of mistakes that have been made this year. Do you think that looking forward next year, we're going to see like some of these same guys back in the portal again next year?
Well, there's no way to predict anything but that. You know, I think that it's shown every year there's more and more kids in the portal. So I can't imagine this year with even the more uncertainty, there are more. Now, the one thing that can be said is this pandemic, I think a lot of young men might stay closer to home, and that may mean that there's less chance that they want to go and they want to stay in a place and not take that risk of going elsewhere. And there was an interesting read. I don't know if you read the Jeff Goodman read about transferring up. Like, there are a lot of stats out there that you can go transfer to these higher levels, but the production level that it's a slim chance that you're going to increase your production level. And the reality is, if you're in a good situation and you're utilized and you're producing and you're playing well and you want to play beyond your time at the university, like, if you got a spot that you're producing and doing well, like, you're taking a big risk with your own professional career by potentially trying to jump up a level. You know, there's no way that we can sit here and say, don't chase your dreams. That's not what we're about as coaches. You know, we want to make sure everybody can go chase what they're looking to try to accomplish in their life, in their world. But, you know, sometimes the grass isn't always greener. And I know that's cliche, but it's the reality. So, you know, maybe with more of this research out too, less people will be inclined to leave a level like ours to go up.
Yeah. Now, to kind of segue into that, you do have some, obviously, the Jeff Goodman article, there were a plethora of players, you know, that had transferred to the higher level and that you know, seen their production cut in half, essentially. Then you have players that actually came from the NEC, you know, your Marquise Reeds, your Rodney Pryors, you know, that were able to, you know, go to higher levels and you know, and kill. You know, be players like a Damian Lee that was at Drexel and went to Louisville and had success, you know. So what do you think is the difference between guys like that are able to kind of go to that higher level and turn it on and still be effective, and guys that end up transferring higher and not being able to have the same success?
There's a lot of good players everywhere. I mean, I like I said, I coached at Division III for 5 years as a head coach, and there's pros in that level. Duncan Robinson was the guy I coached against in my first game, and now he's one of the best shooters in the NBA. And we beat him. We beat Duncan Robinson as a freshman in high school. So, you know, and he went and produced in Michigan. So it is a case-by-case basis. You can't lump everybody into there. You know, is those guys you named, I mean, you're able to name them by name. Think about how many guys are in the portal that you didn't name. Think about how many guys are going to go up that didn't have that success or didn't produce. There's basketball players at every level, man. I mean, there's really good players. And there's guys at the ends of benches that aren't playing that have a Division I players. So it's just, you know, it's hard, and it's the right circumstance. It's the right coaching style. It's the right staff. So as long as you're able to do your research and you think it could be a good fit, I can see it working out for some guys. But, you know, a lot of it is, you know, on an individual case-by-case basis. And those guys are really good that you named, all pros.
That's for sure.
So, I mean, you know, I wanted to ask you, man. I mean, obviously, you know, we played against you this year, you know, Copper State versus Mount St. Mary's, and you guys whipped our behinds. So I definitely remember that. I mean, I know you actually also, like you mentioned, you know, you played at Whitman, Montgomery County guy, and obviously with Springbrook guys. So kind of talk about kind of your experiences back in high school going up against the Brook.
Oh, man, you set me up. I told you about – now I got to relive some memories. I don't like reliving very much. But this is,
hey, it's only fair, man. You talk about this year.
You know, we had a cheat code my senior year. His name was Jerome Habel. He was an all-Met player, one of the best players in the area. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that name. But Jerome was a special talent, 6'9", could run and jump, athletic, could shoot it. And we got out the gate my senior year. We were 7-0. We just beat Watkins Mill in our tournament, and we got ranked in the post. You know, in Montgomery County, it's a big deal. I think we were 18th in the post, and we had a showdown with Springbrook. So I ran point. I was basically the only primary ball handler we had, and I'll always remember it, and I hate thinking back to it because we're up, I think, 10 with 4 or 5 minutes to go in the game. We're up 10. And I got the ball, and they had a heck of a team. That's with Fowler and Campbell. He's still playing, and Lewis Brookins, and, you know, they had a bunch of Division I guys. He was a Quinnipiac guy, actually. Yeah. So, and Billy Childs was a Division I soccer player. He was my AAU teammate. But we're up 10. We got this thing in cruise control, and I'm the point, and they go to trap me at half court. And I remember I had my crab dribble going on. He comes and gets on my hip. I spin to get to the baseline. And I'm like, and I had 4 fouls this time. So I had 4 fouls. I usually don't foul. We played in the zone, but I was hacking. I was hyped. It was a big game for us. And I'm driving, and I can remember I'm in my left hand, and I see the guy step up. I'm like, he's not going to take a charge, man. He's not going to take a charge. And I go to drive, and he slides in front of me. Boom, 4 minutes left. 5th foul charge. So we're up 10 with 4 minutes to go, and I got to sit my butt on the bench, and I got to watch us go from up 10 with 4 minutes to go. And if I have the ball in my hand, we're winning the game. I'll make free throws. We'll send it home. And sure enough, we lose the game by 10. We had to play Jerome at the 1. We had to bring freshmen in that had no idea. I mean, going against Fowler and Campbell, these guys, we were like 5-6 deep. We were really good, but we were 5-6 deep. And we lost by 10. Then we had Springbrook at our place. Close game. Coach draws a play, a high-low to get it to Jerome. Our other big throws it right to the defense, so we lose the second one. And then we beat Sherwood in the semis, and we're hosting Springbrook. And we went a box and won, and they had a guy that didn't make a whole lot of threes make a lot of threes. And so I went 0 for 3 against your alma mater, man. So some hard memories there. But it was a lot of fun. We had a great senior year. It was, fond memories. But, Springbrook, as you know, wins a lot of games. And unfortunately, my senior year, we weren't able to get them. But we had some good runs. So, yeah, it was fun. And then, got a chance to play at St. Mary's College. And then I got this coaching bug, and here I am.
Now, one thing that has kind of been floating around this DMV Hoops scene, I don't know if you're familiar with the Instagram lives that have been going on the past couple of days. Quinn Cook has hosted the Instagram lives the past couple of days, and guys like Kevin Durant, Victor Oladipo, Mike Beasley, all these guys have been on there, and there's been this public versus private debate. There's been this MOCO versus PG County debate, and obviously all the guys are PG County dudes, and so largely, I respect the PG County, but obviously we're all MOCO County dudes, and there's been some players with some talent that have come out of Montgomery County. I guess not trying to get your opinion on the MOCO PG thing, but
don't get me in trouble. I got to recruit both.
Very true. But I mean, just talk about the culture of the DMV basketball. Obviously, the guys at the highest level, all the way down to the guys, at the Division II, Division III level, that are coming from the area, and just the pride that it means to be from this area and to play from this area, to be, a member of the DMV Hoops community.
Yeah, they're everywhere, man. They're great players. I told you I took over at Southern Vermont, and we had 10 guys on our roster that came all the way to Vermont, and these were a lot of guys that had either second chance opportunities and just like they carried that, whether it was from Baltimore, whether from Maryland, like there was a common bond, and it was like it ended up building a respect within our team. And same thing with here at the Mount. Like we have a bunch of guys from all over the area, and we got Southern Maryland, and we got Montgomery County, and we got Baltimore, and it's fun to see them kind of come together, and their debates are just like debates that are ones you talk about. They're heated, they're funny, I love hearing them and love being a part of it. But that's what this area is. It's a lot of really good players, and I haven't watched the Quinn Cook, but I heard it's been terrific, and you're getting some good commentary all over the place, and I should follow up and listen a little bit more. But it does, and I was part of it. I lived it. I banned the brick. Like that meant a lot to me, like going to play in those games and playing the DeMathas and playing Gonzagas down at St. Albans and, playing some of the best teams. And even in Montgomery County when I played, we had some studs. We had guys that, I'm sure you remember some of the names, but like Charles Lee, who played at Quince Orchard. He played at Bucknell and then played for the Spurs for a while. He's now an assistant in the NBA. And I talked about Jerome Hable. Jerome was an all-Met player that played at San Diego State and had a 12-year playing pro career. Fowler and Campbell still playing. Like, there's a lot of really good players like all over the place, and PG, you can go down the list as well there. And it's just it's a fun place to be from, and I love that I don't have to drive an hour to watch really good basketball and within an hour radius. So
you hit it around the head, man. You also mentioned guys like Malcolm Miller, NBA champion last year. I wish I would have had some of those names you just named. The debate, man, I could have gave him some heat.
I can come in. I can fill you. I can give you a history lesson.
Hey, I might need it, man. I might need it. So my last question for you is just, like I said, Mount St. Mary's is a place that, you know, they have won. They have been to the NCAA tournament. You know, they've had success, you know, in recent years. So for you, you know, up-and-coming coach, you know, still young, what is your goal and your vision for Mount St. Mary's, you know, going forward, let's say the next 5 years?
Yeah. So I put it out there because part of the issue was, and the Mount had great success, and Coach Christian's a brilliant coach. He's over at GW right now and did an amazing job building this thing. But just like I talked about, getting our guys to fall in love with the Mount, getting them to fall in love with our process. So we want to graduate young men that feel an attachment to the Mount. And while doing that, like, we want to go to the NCAA tournament and win games. And, you know, those are my ultimate goals. And we're fighting really hard for it. You know, our staff is working really hard to try to take those next steps. You know, we were playing well at points last year and saw a lot of, you know, really bright stuff that can carry us to that next level. And we love what's happening. We got 4 freshmen coming in, a couple transfers, and a great core returning. So for us, we got to take that step now. And I'm just excited to have guys that want to be in the gym. You know, we're a very much roll up our sleeves, let's get to work type of staff and team. And, you know, that's the hard part about being away from them as much as we are now. But we got a fun crew. And I think over the years when you watch us play, we're going to play a little bit different. We want to be up tempo. We want to get up and down. We want to press and do that. We think we got depth now to play that way. And you're going to see you guys played against them. I mean, we have one of the better young front courts in the country, like Nana Poku and Malik Jefferson. Like, I think these guys are going to be really special. Damien's maturing a year. Jalen Gibbs, Colin Nominee and now adding the pieces that were coming in. And we're on to something. So we got to play a tough non-conference schedule every year. You know that. So we're probably playing the likes of like Maryland this year, Pitt, and traveling down to Georgia Tech. And what better opportunity to get ourselves ready for an NEC run, because it's a great league, and, you know, it's a league that's gettable every year. So we're gonna try to go win this thing. And but yeah, man, I'm doing it with really good people, and that's, at the end of the day, it's about people. So excited for this journey.
Well, that's all the questions that we have for you, man. We wanted to thank you for taking time out of your morning to sit down and talk with us, man. We really appreciate it. And, obviously, best of luck to you guys at Mount St. Mary this year and in the future as well. Yeah,
you guys are always welcome. I just want to say you guys are doing an incredible job, and it's been fun following you guys. And you guys had great careers, and it's always good to see Montgomery County guys going out and doing big things in the world. So we can never do anything to help, we're here. But congratulations on what you're doing, and keep doing this stuff. And if I can ever be a resource, I'm here.
Thanks a lot, Coach. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll see you guys.
All right, see you, Coach.